Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, bringing you Mission 4 in my 007 Bloodstone 007 difficulty video walkthrough. And this is the Bangkok mission. And at the start of this mission, you've got to do some espionage treatment to a bunch of bugs in this aquarium before you can do the meeting with this Thai guy. I don't really know what's fucking going off, it's been a while. But I'm not going to talk about that, and the main reason for this is because in the background I have the majesty that is Total Recall on. And I'm hoping everybody's just gasped and said, Total Recall? Oh my god, fucking awesome film. And if you're one of the people that sat there going, Total Recall, what the fuck are you on about? I don't recall no Total Recall. I want you to stop this video right now. I want you to get off my YouTube channel. I want you to go to a torrent site. I want you to go to a streaming site. I want you to go to your mum and dad's DVD collection. I want you to go to any self-respecting human being's VHS collection and pick out the masterpiece that is Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall. And for a lot of people that don't know, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger film, and it's about Mars. And if that isn't enough to have you going, oh my god, I need to see this film right now, combine that with Paul Verhoeven, whose previous works included RoboCop. Oh fucking yes, RoboCop, the good ones, not that shit that followed. Who's pretty much the king of squibs. And for anybody that doesn't know what a squib is a packet of blood that's got a very small explosive device behind it that they use when they create films to give the impression of a bullet impacting against a human body. And it's a contraption that they make to give it that bloodburst bag effect. And this motherfucker knows how to use that technology, because you will never see squibs as awesome as when you're watching a Paul Verhoeven movie. Like, for instance, when Ed 209's been showed off in that office, and he's like, you have 60 seconds to comply. And he's like, I think you better do what he says. And he puts the Desert Eagle down, and the fucking machine still blows holes the size of footballs in his chest. The dude is crazy. But anyhow, once you've scanned all the bugs, you will have to put them into that console and do it in the order that I just did. Once you've done that, this dude's going to walk out into the front of this aquarium, and you can go and talk to him. But be very warned, after this cutscene you're going to get ambushed by a bunch of like fucking scuba ninja Splinter Cell motherfuckers. And the best thing to do to kill them is to use the cover, use it to your advantage, and do the thing you've been doing for pretty much all of the game. A little tip as well to the aggressive players that are ploughing through Bloodstone. This is one of those sections where the harder you push, the harder the game pushes back. So make sure that you've cleared out the enemies, make sure that you've killed, everybody before you continue on, because if you don't hit a checkpoint, you're just going to get frustrated by the fact that you're repeating the section. And all you have to do now is make your way around these balconies. The best thing to do is just, as I've mentioned, use your cover trick, shoot the dudes, keep eking your way around, and every time you get to a next section, a door's going to open up and enemies are going to spawn. And it's going to do this all the way up until you get to the top floor, so just follow what I do, follow all your third-person shooting knowledge, and I'm going to talk some more shit about Total Recall, because the film is fucking boss. But, this is a film, I think it's an early 90s film, it's late 80s, early 90s, and it's a relic of those old action films where when you think action, you think fucking over the top, explosions, you think lots of ridiculous gunfights and just preposterous storylines taken from, the most obscure places, and most importantly, Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger before he decided to become a politician. Back in his prime, fucking up his lines, completely drawling through all his words, and then just beating dudes up, and it's what it's all about. And it comes from an era where action doesn't mean fucking Michael Bay and endless crane shots with sunsets and, a blue hue across the fucking lens of the camera. It means just Arnie ignoring things, silly things like plot and, narrative, for the case of blowing shit up with, guns that don't even fire the way they do in the films, and just absolute nonsense, and it's just glorious. And I mean, the bad guy in this film is the guy from RoboCop. I don't know his name. You'll know him when you see him. But his lead henchman is Michael Ironside, and Michael Ironside is just a fucking boss for hamming up his performances. This is a guy that just completely chews the scenery, but he does it in such a way that you can't help but love it. He's kind of like Mickey Rourke-esque in some aspects of his game. He does a Dennis Quaid, if you know what that means. But shit is awesome, man, and it's super good. It's actually based off Philip K. Dick's short story. And if you don't know who Philip K. Dick is, he's basically a sci-fi author who did a hell of a lot of hallucinogenic drugs, and it made him question his reality. It made him question the world around him, and he wrote a lot of weird shit because of it. And it's loosely based on one of his stories, but that doesn't even matter right now. It's just a fucking boss of a film, and if you've not seen it, you've got to watch it. There is a Seraphim 17 guarantee of quality when it comes to Total Recall. This is a film that doesn't age. It's got awesome practical effects. It's got awesome everything. It's Arnie. He pulls a giant thing out of his nose, and it's a plot point. I mean, I don't even have to explain that. There you go. Genius. Fluent genius. But anyhow, as soon as you get the chance to pick up a better gun than the MP5 or the MP7 that you started with, make sure you do so, because it's significantly more damaging than the submachine gun that the game likes to start you with. And on this section here, there's nobody on this staircase, so you don't have to worry about being, fucking cheap-shotted or anything. And now after that checkpoint and possible cutscene that I've just trimmed out, we're going to be on the rooftops of Bangkok chasing down a dude, and a lot of this is kind of an interactive chase sequence, so you're never really in any kind of danger, but as soon as you see any other enemies pop up, that signifies that it's going to be a moment where you have to fight. And the best thing to do then is just get as close to the first piece of cover that you can, start doing your corner trick, and Daniel Craig these motherfuckers. It is that simple. But these are going to be the last chain of commentaries I'm going to be doing, because I'm off for a week, so I'm going to have a week commentary free, which is a bit of a daunting thing, because I do enjoy doing this stuff, and it is very rewarding when people use it and people give good feedback and leave comments and question things and all that good stuff. But I'm still going to be active on my YouTube channel, because I'm going to be uploading from my girlfriend's house, but I'm just not going to be able to do any work from there, because I don't want to take my laptop, because it kind of contradicts why I'm going. But keep following this dude. Do your thing. Up the stairs you go. And I've also got... oh, be careful actually. I should say, I do not recommend using the takedowns on people unless you're completely 100% guaranteed to get the kill. And if they have any friends, you're probably going to die, so avoid it at all possible. And this section here, one thing I could have used to my advantage, which I really don't, and I'd implore you to, is the ability to use detective vision with the smartphone, because the detective vision will show you where enemies are through the steam or the fog or the mist or whatever you want to call it, miasma, dry ice, I don't know. And when you push onto this courtyard here, there's going to be maybe 3 or 4 guys that are going to push around from the opposite alley to where you came in. It's adjacent to where you entered, and it's where you leave. And your best bet is to use these like air conditioning vents or these lockers or whatever the hell I'm up against, and just try and cheese some people. And if you know there's a guy there but you can't quite hit him, use your focus shot. That's probably your best bet. But just be patient, don't rush it. As you can see, these dudes are playing for keeps, and they will kill you very quickly. And you'll never make it to the novelty driving section of this level. And I know everybody's holding their breath for those really fun driving sections. And for anybody whose sarcasm detector didn't go off right there, I'm just indicating that I wasn't being serious. That's the weird thing about the internet. There's some really dumb fucking people. But when you push out to this section here, this is a bit of a gunfight, because there's a handful of guys that are going to spawn, and it is a bit of an open area. And you'll notice I'm not very eager to jump into that area, because once you do, the cover is kind of interesting and you're probably going to force a spawn. So as long as you know that you're in for a gunfight, you shouldn't have too much trouble. And plus, I think there's a checkpoint just before it, so if you do get clipped like I nearly did then, you shouldn't have too much of the game to make up for. But do bear in mind there's a couple of fucking chopper sections coming up, and they're really annoying. But that dude then, he was ninjaing his way around me, and I didn't see him, and he could have quite easily killed me. I'm surprised he didn't actually. And there's another one doing the exact same. So word to the wise, check your left flank, because on this run the AI was pushing it like a phenom. But once you've killed enough people for them to stop spawning and you can't really see anything else, you can push forward, and you're probably going to hit another checkpoint. There you go. And then the rest of this is platforming, I think, until the next section of Bangkok. And The thing I really loved about this game was just how carefree it was. It was one of those games that you could put on, you didn't even have to have the volume on, you could play it while you were doing other things, and it never got frustrating aside from the last fucking boss, but I'll go over that when we get there. It always felt like no matter what I was doing, no matter what mood I was in, if I'd played Call of Duty all fucking day and all I wanted to do was, like, kick a baby's face off, then I could just turn this on and calm down and just enjoy myself again and remember why I play games. And I think these are almost the ultimate kind of games because they're just pure escapism. They don't do anything brilliant, they don't do anything different, they're not reinventing the wheel, but they're stealing you away from the things that are on your mind, and that can be precious sometimes, especially when you're going through a shit time or whatever you want to put behind it, whatever backstory you want to make up for this hypothetical situation and this mindset that I'm trying to portray. But here we go anyhow. And this is another one of the dogshit driving sections, and to be completely honest, this is probably the easiest one in my opinion, and that's because this car actually controls predictably. You can manage where it goes, and it's the only vehicle on this game that I can honestly say that I have no trouble controlling. All the other ones seem to spin out and fizz out and all sorts of fucking madness, and I'm just not a fan whatsoever. But this one seems okay for what it's worth. Oh, and by the way, people, I'm sure there's a bunch of you that are all into the whole YouTuber scene, that are all into the Call of Duty videos, and I don't know if you're better at sifting through YouTube than I am, but I was watching one of Woody Gamertag's videos from the Commentator Showdown. He put the first game up from his perspective on grid, and he mentioned midway through the video that a couple of people who were invited to take part in the free-for-all but didn't were shit-talking afterwards on Twitter. And I looked about, for a few people. I looked through Hutch, I looked through Xcal, I looked through a handful of people I thought it might have been, and I couldn't really find any true shit talking. So if anybody knows who it was that was talking shit, talking smack, I'd really like to know, because that's the type of shit that I'm actually interested in, the underside of all these personalities, because I think it's kind of cool, and I just couldn't find it when I was sifting. So if you know, please send me a message or drop a comment, because, yeah, kind of interesting. I was stunned to see that Hutch wanted to take part, and I was under the impression that he'd been invited, but apparently not. Might have been kind of interesting, especially with, he doesn't play as much as he used to, but Hutch used to be a pretty bad boy, especially on Call of Duty 4 if you're not familiar with him. Dude was a beast. But anyhow, these sections, these driving sections themselves, they are so scripted, it's unbelievable. They will take place the exact same pattern, the exact same chain of events every single time you do it. If something falls in front of you, it's going to fall in front of you again. They're so scripted, it's unbelievable. And once you learn the pattern, you shouldn't have any problems keeping up. The only real deficit on this section is how bad the fucking cars control and how strict the game is with the checkpoints and stuff, because for some reason, when you're in the cars, if you make one wrong turn or if you accidentally spin out, it doesn't give you enough time to continue. It's almost an immediate game over, and for a game that doesn't have the most reliable or responsive vehicles, seems kind of strict to me. Don't really get that at all. Totally don't. And just keep chasing this thing down. But I'm going to finish off a topic I started speaking about in a past video, so I do apologise for anybody that hasn't watched that video, or has watched that video and has been waiting for me to continue. I think it was in one of the Portal ones where I started talking about ninja theory, and I was basically referencing that Duke Nukem needs to really change for it to become, a valid place in this gaming economy right now. It needs to completely revitalise what it means to be Duke Nukem after Duke Nukem Forever. And I mentioned ninja theory, and I also mentioned Enslaved, Journey to the West, Odyssey to the West, and how I'd just beaten it. And I've got to say that is one of the most compelling storylines, narratives, and character-developed games I've played in a long time. The relationship between the main protagonists and how their friendship builds from complete animosity to relying on each other to survive to an actual relationship is something that is really, really awesome. And it's made even better by the capture performance technology that they've used to give the characters so much feeling in the face and emotion and everything. Obviously, this is no LA Noire. I've not played LA Noire. This was out a long time before it. but it's still really impressive, and the twist at the end kind of didn't see it coming, and I enjoyed it all the more for it. So if you haven't played that game, I would definitely guarantee it. And I'm going to have to stop talking once again, but I will come back to the topic once I've mentioned some strategies here. As soon as you spawn away after the vehicle section, you're going to have a taser, and this gun fucking sucks. You get one shot with it, and then it has to recharge, and the recharge takes a long time. So the best thing you can do is do as many takedowns as possible, but bear in mind, on 007 difficulty, if you get hit by a taser, it is extremely difficult to take it off. On the easier difficulties, you can shrug them off quite simply, but on this difficulty, I bashed like an international track and field champion, and I still got my ass handed to me, so try and take them down as I do. Try and be as stealthy as possible, and do not rely on this weapon. It is a piece of shit. But if you watch my path, and if you watch the people I prioritise and I take out in the order, you shouldn't have any problems with this section. But anyhow, Enslaved. Originally, I was going to do a guide for it, and then when I started playing it, even though it was a fantastic game, I just couldn't find myself playing it because I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't keep watching 24 or do things when I played it. I had to focus on the game because I did think it was cool and I did think it was interesting, and because of those reasons, I ended up pushing it off for a long time, and then I finally sat down and I beat it, and I kind of fell in love with it. The combat isn't great. It took me a while to figure the combat out, and it's the main reason why I've completely reversed my opinions on what I'm going to do. So I've gone from gonna do a guide to I'm not gonna do a guide because I don't have time and I don't think people will appreciate it, to I'm gonna do the balls deep, quick look new series that I'm gonna start doing for games that I don't want to do guides for, but I still want to have videos of them on my channel. So completely, delete all that shit, and I'm back to where I started because I'm going to do a guide again. And the main reason is there's a few sections of that game that are legitimately challenging if you do not understand the combat and you do not understand the best way to approach it. Everything else is pretty simple because the platforming's good. The platforming is a dream compared to Castlevania, and fucking Mercury Stream should take a look at it because it's effortless. It's kind of like Uncharted in just how intuitive and interesting it is, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I wasn't a big fan of the puzzles, and I wasn't a big fan of the do this in this very specific way, or this cutscene will never trigger, and thus you will be stuck for 2 fucking hours running around like a moron. I wasn't a fan of that. But I'm going to be doing a guide on hard difficulty. It's going to be from a fresh game, so I'm not going to inherit any items, and yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But keep platforming, keep jumping, and when you drop down onto this van, you're going to be going into another courtyard, and I think after you take down these police officers, we're going to get a gun and be able to kill people instead of using this pathetic fucking taser. And I'm going to have to get some water after this commentary because my throat is fucking, oh goodness me, dry as balls. And these first few guys here, if you watch, I managed to chain takedowns on them, but I will never ever recommend doing that. That's just me showing frustration that I probably died a few times on this section and I couldn't be asked to keep shooting. But once you've done that, if you take your time pushing up into this next courtyard, you shouldn't get caught off guard by these guys that turn up at the entrance. There you go, there's one. And this next room is bullshit because when you look at it, there's no enemies whatsoever. When you run in, they spawn on the rooftops and all around you. And it's a really, really, really bad area if you rush. So my strategy is to clean people up from this outskirts using this cheeky corner to snipe them. Like I've been doing the entire game, using the corner trick, using the third person shooting, fucking crooks that ruins every single third person shooter. Except Enslaved, which isn't really a shooter, but it's a third-person game, and they've full-on fixed the ability to exploit this. But the only real problems with this, the only risky sections to this defensive strategy I've got here are the people that rush you. But luckily enough, you can use a takedown, and then it's just a case of using your focus shots. It's that simple. And you'll notice I keep rushing into the market, into this area, whatever it's called, and then running back. The main reason I'm doing that is because I want to force a spawn, because I know that this area is notoriously bad for it. And right there, you see that yellow reticle come up on the screen, pointing me to an enemy that's just been made aware of me. So I rush all the way back here, and I set up camp once again and start killing some Chinese people, or Thai people, sorry. Not that killing people is ever a good thing, but once again, this is a video game, and if you're taking it that seriously, then you should probably take my advice. Fuck off. So, once you go into this courtyard, the best thing to do is just push around, using cover as best you can, just in case there's those one or two tossers that decide to hold back and don't show themselves, because this game is notorious for AI that sits behind a barrel and picks you off as you run past. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, one really good way to remedy that problem is to use your detective vision, although I neglect it for pretty much this entire game. So even if you don't use it, it is possible to do just fine. It's just you want every advantage you can get, because this is one of those games that if you don't use everything in your arsenal, you're probably not going to do too well. Especially on 007, because I really didn't expect to get one-shotted from the distance that it can happen from. I didn't think, I had not played a game that was that strict in a long time. In fact, I'm trying to think back to any third-person shooters that I've played that were that strict, aside from, you know, like when a Theron guard hits you with a torque bow on Gears of War on Insane, and you might as well just turn it off because you're fucking dead, and you know it, which is worse, because it's like, dink, and you know you're stuck, and there's those few seconds of just being like, yeah, I'm a dick, kill me now. But yeah, it's pretty tough, and it's pretty strict, but this game is simple, so have no fear whatsoever. You will get your achievements, you will probably 1,000 this game if you're interested in the multiplayer, which I didn't get a chance to play, unfortunately. But a throat smack later, and we're one guy closer to beating Bangkok. Keep running through these bollards, through these crowded streets, and we're coming up on the enemy like stronghold slash base, and all it is there's a couple of guys guarding the front of it, because if you can see up there, it's Rack's boat repairs, and you're going to be chasing him through this next section, and you've got to be careful, because there is there is a lot of dudes in these next few areas, and you will get fucked up real quick unless you're in cover. So learn from my mistakes. To open the door, you need to cruise over to this button here, and it will open the gate and allow you through the next area. I'm just looking at the assault rifles that the military on Mars are using on Total Recall, and they're obviously some, you know, crazy looking Belgian firearm that they've adapted for the sake of the movie, but they kind of look like G11s, as funny as they seem. But keep using your cover, keep picking people off. I think there's a fruit ball here, one of the fruit balls that you have to shoot. There's only 3 of them in the game, and there's an achievement for shooting all 3 of them in one sitting. So you have to do it in one 24-hour period. And it isn't difficult, because there's only 3 levels that they appear on, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass because it's secret, and if it weren't for, you know, those achievement sites on the internet, how the fuck would you ever know to do it? Because don't get me wrong, I'm one of those guys. Metal Gear Solid 2 is me for days, shooting melons on them shelves, shooting packs of rice and watching the rice fall out, you know, just shooting ridiculous things for the sake of shooting them, because you could, and no game went to that kind of detail before that. And but you just wouldn't know to do all 3 in one day. I just think it's silly. But yeah, this is a tough courtyard, this one. You want to stay as far back as you can, because they just appear from everywhere. And the way I like to push this area is I go up against this column, but you'll notice I get myself in the shit a bit because my pad strays to the left. So be real careful, because there's guys on that balcony, there's guys on my balcony to my right. I move across to these boxes so I've got cover when I try and push forward, because when I hit the invisible tripwire that you're going to see in a moment, guys on that balcony to my right are going to spawn. You see, I'm really tentative. I don't want to do it. There you go. There's the spawn. Oh my god, getting cover. Wow. It's that close sometimes. You've got to be so quick. And if you sit here on these boxes, the guys on the ground floor will gradually make their way to you, and then you can snipe the buddies on the catwalk. And it makes this section super simple. God, I love this music in the cantina scene on Total Recall. It's like super cheese fest techno keyboard. It is just brilliant. It makes Vangelis look like a fucking tourist. But keep picking people off. take your time, don't push the spawn. Oh, and it's the woman with 3 tits. And if you don't get that metaphor, you haven't seen Total Recall. And oh yes, baby, you make me wish I had 3 hands. But keep pushing forward. And once you get to this area, there's going to be a bunch of guys on the catwalk above you. And you notice I'm going to try and eke my way around to see if I can see them. But I think you've got to trip it, because as you push in, he's going to run. Did you see Rack start running? He fucks off. He runs across there. And when you try and follow him, that's when the enemies turn up and try and cut you off. I believe so, anyway. Oh, maybe I'm completely wrong. Oh no, this is the end of the level. My bad, guys. No more enemies. Thanks for watching. You take care now.